Welcome back to the Big Fella Podcast. I am your host, Noah Tanner. I hope you guys are having a great day. Today we have my friend Lukas Mullen on the pod today, brand marketing expert extraordinaire, absolute wizard out of Wisconsin. He's repping the Badger hoodie. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Lukas and I crossed paths like earlier on this year. I came across one of his posts when I was just kind of doom scrolling one night, and he had some really interesting things to say about like design and brand. And then we hit it off, and then we became pretty solid friends and have been, talking to each other and staying in the loop and watching our businesses grow. So figured I'd get him on the podcast, talk a little bit more about social media and business, and just yap about how much running sucks too, because we both share that common interest. And yeah, man, Lukas, introduce yourself, man. Welcome on.
Yeah, like Noah said, I make content about design, entrepreneurship, content, brand building, anything kind of in that realm. I'm out here on the internet making videos about it.
Yeah, dude, you've seen a lot of growth recently on your pages too. Like not out of nowhere because you were grinding, but like I've seen a very large influx of views and engagement on your stuff, and it's well deserved.
Yeah, dude,
I'm love seeing it, man.
Just over time, it's kind of just the little changes compounding, and finally, it's all coming together, and it feels like I've got things sorted out. It's been a long grind, but it feels like it's paying off now.
Absolutely. Why don't you give some people that are listening that are new to who you are kind of a rundown of, because our audiences are very separate. Like they're very different. We don't have a whole lot of overlap, but outside of anyone who is interested in just like general business. But that's not something I talk about a ton in my content, but I am really, really interested in it as a business owner. So why don't you kind of tell people kind of what your journey looked like with the whole Mako Labs thing back in the day, and kind of where it's turned into today and what your goals are from here.
Yeah, so I was in college studying marketing, totally like on the path to go work at an agency in some capacity. And so I realized that you need to stand out to get a job. And so I decided I'm just going to make content and kind of grow my personal brand through content as my way to stand out. And so I started doing that. And then I started a little side project doing this candle business, which I also made content for. But then like through the course of doing that, making the candle content and my personal content, I had a couple series that did pretty well, like the one Noah talked about that he discovered me on. And it became very apparent to me how quickly you can get something to grow like a business through social media just with one hit. And so I kind of went all in on that, just totally pushed the idea to the side of going to get a job at an agency, and decided I'm going to make content, start my own thing. And it's gone from there. I've been grinding content for about a year now, making videos about design, marketing, entrepreneurship, brand building, anything kind of in that world.
Yeah, dude, I love it. Also, for those of you that are new here or have just kind of tuned back into the YouTube channel, we are available on Spotify now. So if some of the video quality, because I know sometimes people don't like listening to it on YouTube, they prefer it on Spotify. All these episodes will be available on Spotify. I will put the links in the descriptions. Sometimes the software that we use or sometimes the internet connection will just kind of flop and we'll get a little fuzzy with the video, but the audio stays clear. So if you want to just like throw us in your pocket, it is available on Spotify now. Just making that very, 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 very clear, because I had a bunch of clients talking a whole bunch of shit the fact that I wasn't on Spotify. So now we're here. Yeah, peer pressure works. But no, man, I think this is a good conversation, because I've had, with where the economy's heading and everything else, I've seen a lot of other people interested in starting a personal brand. And I feel like the idea of a personal brand is gotten overblown, because a bunch of people that are very disingenuous are in the space of business coaching. It's like the whole idea of coaches who coach coaches who coach coaches. It's just a pyramid scheme at that point. It's just a Ponzi scheme. And so for the people who do actually care about building businesses and want to create a little extra side hustle for them, or maybe get away from a job that they don't like, you have kind of made the steps to, when we first met a little less than a year ago, you were finishing up your degree. And now you're, starting to step into this whole entrepreneurship thing, which is super exciting. And, I know you've got some great talents for it. What are you seeing right now on social media as far as the difference between how to get a brand to stand out? I feel like that's the one thing that you do an exceptional job of is identifying, okay, what's going to make you stand out compared to your competition. And especially thinking about that within the frame of somebody who's just kind of starting out or is just wanting to get started, but they don't know how to, and they feel intimidated by the idea of starting a personal brand or starting a company or starting a service or a product.
Yeah, well, when it comes to personal brands, it's all just about putting yourself out there and seeing what sticks. Don't like personal brands. You don't want to overthink them at all. You just want to post stuff and talk about it. When it comes to starting like a business where you're selling products or services online, the first step is always going to be finding how you can differentiate yourself from what's out there. Because a lot of times I get these brands who talk to me and they show me their page and they're like, well, I'm super inspired by this brand and this brand. And you pull up their page and it's just like a worse version of that brand. And a lot of people fall into that trap. But that best case scenario in that situation is you're the worst version of another brand. So the first step is always going to be creating something different than what's out there. And you can do that, you can differentiate yourself in any way. It just needs to be different in some way, I guess. That's what I always say is step one.
Yeah, how would I definitely want to talk about this because I've had quite the journey with being in this career for the last 4 years, which was not plan A for me by any means. But before I do, I want to get your opinion, or I guess your definition. How would you describe what is a personal brand within, when you think about it like 2025, 2026? Because to me, I'm big on like de-buzzwordifying words and terms, right? Because, there's stigmas and there's preconceived notions around a lot of the stuff that we talk about, both in business, but also with like personal development mindset. Like I had a conversation with Jack Wagner from the Grateful podcast yesterday, and we were talking about, the law of attraction and detachment and all this other stuff that just gets a lot of really bad rap around it because it makes you sound like a freaking crazy person. And sometimes when people just say personal brand, it's one of those words that kind of has no meaning if you're not careful. So if you were in an elevator and somebody asked you, what is a personal brand? What would be your 20-second, 30-second elevator pitch of what the definition is?
Yeah, I would just say a personal brand is how you display yourself online in a way where you're providing value based on your expertise you have. It's as simple as that.
I think that's a pretty good way to say it. I mean, people tend to overcomplicate I think people, because you have the idea behind a personal brand and then you have the execution, right? And sometimes people will start in this idea phase, but then they get super caught up in the execution aspect of it. And this is where they get stuck in this fear of failure. They get stuck in this fear of analysis paralysis where they don't want to make a wrong move. Newsflash, your first video, your first post is going to suck balls.
Yeah, 100%.
It's going to be terrible. And that's how you get better. And the people who do get in on the ground floor, your mom, your grandma, your best friend from college, the people that want to support you, they're going to see the shit. They're going to see the stuff that looks terrible at the beginning. And that's a part of the game. That's a part of the game, And for me, and I think you nailed, I think that's honestly, a fantastic definition because people get so obsessed with the formats. Like, oh, should I post on Instagram? Should I post on TikTok? Should I post on YouTube? Should I do pictures? Should I do video? Should I do tweets? Like, there's no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. The execution is whatever you decide you want it to be, right? It's taking the first step that most people are stuck on who are like, I have a client named Angela. Shout out Angela if you're listening to this. She's asked me about like, what do you use for your equipment for podcasting? I've thought about doing this and that. It just pops up on our coaching calls every once in a while. Because for a lot of my weight loss clients, we talk about mindset, we talk about self-development in a lot of other ways because I'm always looking to help people improve their lives in other ways too, right? And, I kind of said the same thing to her. It's like, don't get caught up in trying to make it perfect because no matter what, unless you've done it 100 times, there's no possible way to improve it. Like, if it's just in your head, there's no way you're going to improve it because you don't know what that improvement looks like because you have 0 iterations, right?
Yeah. You mentioned that she said, oh, I thought about this. I thought about this. I hate that more than anything.
There's so many people say that.
I'm thinking about doing this. Dude, just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, get out there and get some reps in. Stop thinking so much. It's like the same thing you're saying, but yeah, it's just one of
No,
those things.
absolutely. I mean, you see it in every industry. You see it in business. You see it in fitness, especially. I'm thinking about starting a diet, or I'm thinking about starting a gym membership. What is there to think about? You're either
Yeah,
going to do it
exactly.
or
Do
you're
it.
not.
Do it.
You know, one of my favorite quotes is ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And that is one of my favorite quotes. And I think it's the most pressing, one of the most prominent things you could say right now, especially if you're trying to get into business. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about I wanted to share a little bit more about my journey with the brand, because I still feel like I am a minnow, a guppy, on my training wheels, on my cute little scooter, trying to race against these monster trucks or F1 cars. Like when it comes to the world of business, right? I still feel like a complete minnow. And I'm glad that I do feel that way, because it means that I still know that I have a lot to learn. Right. And so when I first started, posting on social media, like I said, this was not the end goal. This was not the plan A. Right. But during COVID, when I lost the weight and started posting, I sucked at posting, dude. TikTok will show you your previous videos from like this year ago, or this
Yeah.
video,
Oh, it's brutal. It's
today, a
brutal.
year ago kind of thing. Looking at some of my videos from 2021 and 2022 and 2020, I was like, why am I letting that be on camera? It's like my hair's all frizzy. There's a hole in the ceiling. Like I just finished Greek yogurt, and there's like a stain of Greek yogurt on my shirt or my chin. I'm like, what am I doing? I mean, I was a 19-year-old that was just working 24/7, that didn't have a minute to breathe, because at that point, I was just posting whenever I had an inch of spare time, or an inkling of spare time, because I was working so much and I was studying so much for like certifications and all that other jazz. But once I went full time, I've worked with mentors. I've had connections in the industry for a long time. I only ever talked about weight loss, and only ever weight loss. And that is something that I did for like 3 years. And it wasn't until about this year, 2025, like my 4th year of really doing this, that I started opening up and talking about other topics on a consistent basis. I started talking about personal finance. I started talking about philosophy. I started talking about just general goal setting, habit building, life improvements, and it's been fantastic, and that's kind of been the foundation of what the brand has stood for, because still people know me for the weight loss, but now I have this avenue to help people in other ways, which is something I'm really passionate about. It's just like when you build the systems, it applies to everything. It's like you said earlier, it's like with the iterations of your videos, like your videos are now getting like 24,000, 50,000, 100,000 views on Instagram regularly, because you just kept making small tweaks, small iterations, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. And you found that the green screen videos where you're talking quickly about some really interesting stuff is killing. But you only did that by making the small little minor tweaks, right? It wasn't just like a random hit. Like, sure, every once in a while you'll have a video pop off or a video just completely tank, but that's how you find that growth at scale, that consistency, that growth of building a community, right? And so for me, I've found that my community really thrives on this idea of this consistently good over occasionally great, or occasionally perfect, and I know that thought in general isn't necessarily unique, but with the emphasis on men's mental health and the idea of like self-care for men, which is really just, hey, take care of your own shit. Take care of your own shit doesn't just mean pay the bills and know how to use a socket wrench. It also means know how to deal with an emotional day, know how to harness your emotions, know how to have a difficult conversation, and know how to actually handle the stuff mentally, physically, and emotionally, not just be a one-dimensional man. And so all of that is to say, like, that's a lot to talk about. And I felt very scared for a very long time of like how people would judge me when I started talking about these things. Like, who the hell's going to listen to me? But I also realized, who gives a fuck? If I want to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. And it's yielded nothing but positive results. My business is better. I have better bonds with my clients. My community is stronger. And so for anybody out there that's worried about sharing their opinions or talking about things, or like, oh, I don't know, no one's going to want my brand because it's so random or different, or maybe it's the same. Like, if you are just authentically yourself and you only talk about shit that you like to talk about, that is going to be your combination of things, right? If you can think of a brand as like a combination of like, I would love to hear your opinion on this, 4 or 5 key things where it's like just kind of your unique mix of you, right? Like let's think of somebody random, right? Like you and I really like running. And so we watch a lot of like running influencers. So you and I have spoken a lot about Nick Bare from BPN, Nick Bare Performance, right? So when I think of him, I think of running, I think of Christian, I think of Texas, I think of full days of eating, I think of lifting, right? And I think of like cinematic video. Those are 6 different things that if I said those 6 different things, who's going to come to mind? Nick, right? And so for me and for you and anyone else going out there, you could be into jumping on pogo sticks and now analyzing NHL hockey and then diabetic nutrition. It could be a weird mix of things. You're going to find your niche. You're going to find what people like. But the only way to know how to adjust is by throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned differentiation before. That's how you do it. You can just combine things that people haven't combined before, and that can be your lane. Also, you talked about testing things out. The best part about social media is that if you do something and it flops, is that no one sees it. So it's like completely stupid to be scared of it flopping. Yeah, that's one of the best pieces of advice I ever heard when I was starting. So yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. Just keep throwing it out there.
Yeah, that was like I remember when I heard that for the first time. If nobody sees your first video, cool. Nobody saw your first video. Great. Now you have iterations of it. I had a client that wanted to start a YouTube channel. Different person. I was like, your first video is going to get like maybe 3 views, dude. Good. That means only like 4 or 5 people are going to know that it even exists. And you and another account you viewed it on are the 2 of the 3 views. So it's like, and if you send it to your mom's the 3rd view. So no one's really going to see it, you know? So I really dig that idea for sure. So when outside of, saying, oh, just start, let's talk a little bit more about people who maybe have started posting on social media, but they don't know how to take that next step. And I know you're kind of in the process of turning this social media success into a business. And you and I have talked a lot about this off camera, and I'm super bullish on Lukas, Mullen, or Mako Labs, or whatever you end up calling it, but very bullish on you in general and your business. Where do you think like the biggest struggles for you are currently in growing this away from just social media? I feel like that's where people get confused because they see social media and they think it's either, oh, the views are the stuff that pays me the money, or it's the brand deals that pay me the money. There are so many different avenues to make an income with a brand. It just depends on what you want to do. I'll be honest with you. I made $36 from TikTok in the month of October. $36 from like the creator fund program thing. Because I don't care about making videos over a minute long. It's not my main focus. Right. So it's like some people have this misconception about where the money they just think it just magically shows up in your bank account when you have the following. So talk to me about some of the strategies you're taking and some of the stuff that you see with some of the other brands that you're speaking to.
Yeah, well, the first thing is you have to have like a goal in mind of how you want to monetize. Like if you're trying to monetize through content, are you trying to monetize through views from a creator fund? Are you trying to monetize through partnerships, UGC, etc.? Or are you starting a brand where you want to sell products, etc.? So you have to know what the end goal is so you can build the process to get there. Sorry, what was the rest of the question?
That was really it. Like I was just gonna say, like from who you're speaking to, and like specifically with the people that are coming to you asking for help. I'm seeing like, yes, there's a ton of advice out there, and we've already kind of covered it. Hey, get it out there. Start posting about it. Start talking about it. That's step 1. For the people that have already done that, what do you recommend them who are struggling to monetize or who don't know where to take the next step to turn it into a more of an official thing? And I think you hit it nicely as kind of a starting point. The ways of monetization through starting a brand on social media. You have a product you could sell that you can either create or sell for somebody else. You have a service you could sell that you could create or sell from somebody else. Creating them is always going to take longer, but it has a much larger ROI long term if you are successful. But then you have UGC, which is basically partnering with brands and promoting other brands and using your content as effectively like selling ad space effectively. Right. And then you have like payouts to the creator fund. And I mean, that's kind of lower. But then you can get like monetization on other platforms like YouTube does really good ad roll. You know, you could pay through ad revenue that way as well. And then you could also do like communities and discount codes for other brands. Like that's really big in the fitness industry for like Young LA and other brands like that. So considering those like 6 or 7 avenues of the way to monetize a brand, what would you say for someone who doesn't really know what to do? What are the pros and cons, or what are you seeing as a trend with the people that are working with you and talking to you about it?
Well, a lot of people I talk to are like consumer brands, so they're not really worried about like UGC or making money through UGC and paid partnerships and stuff like that. They're just trying to make sales. I guess as far as trying to figure out how to best get to that goal, I think the number one thing I tell people is to establish your content pillars, which is kind of like content 101, but a lot of people don't really do that. And so essentially what a content pillar is, it's a specific type of content with a specific goal in mind that you try to repeat over and over again. So yeah, and then you want to have different layers of that too, like your top of funnel, like talk about marketing funnels, top stuff that's wider reaching, bottom stuff that's more conversion focused, not going to reach as many people. And so you want the different pillars to focus on different parts of that and kind of build a whole system through your content. One way that I was able to do that recently is I did the system where I would have like a a self-analysis every 2 weeks. And so I would I'd have my videos from the last 2 weeks, and I would go through and I would see what had the most views, what had the most shares, what had the best retention rate for the hook, and then do an analysis of why this worked. And then I would set like a guidelines for myself for the next 2 weeks to follow. And I come back and just constant analysis.
That's good. That self analysis and not getting caught in the idea of just post more, post more, post more, post more, post more. That's a big mistake I used to make back in the day. And now I have systems in place to where I can look back. Okay, what's performing well? What's not performing well? Why is it resonating? Is it the format? Is it the topic that I'm speaking on? Because I feel like a lot of people get really hung up on the formatting, which is important. It is a part of it. Like for you specifically, like on Instagram, the formatting was the main change for you. Obviously, you had to dictate your hooks and how you spoke. Like there's plenty of changes that come with that. But you're giving effectively the same information and analysis that you were on the carousels and the slideshows, but you switched them to a green screen style of content, and that is what, boom,
Yeah, totally.
that took off, right? So sometimes it is the format, but that also was a year. That's after a year of iterating between getting better at speaking, getting better at figuring out what people like, figuring out what people don't like, figuring out what videos pop, what kind of content you even like to make is a big part of it too, right?
Yeah,
So when you talk about content pillars and you talk about a funnel, we can kind of do this together, but I want to make this very beginner friendly because the idea of a funnel is not a super foreign concept. It's not a very complex issue or concept either, but for someone who has worked a normal job most of their lives and is interested in kind of with online business, I feel like it's an important thing for us to kind of outline. So I'll kind of start and I'll let you run with it. For a funnel, you can explain it in a lot of ways, but the easiest way to think about it is you have it's literally shaped like a funnel. For everyone visualizing or everyone watching on YouTube, you can see me with my hands. You have the largest part of a funnel is at the top. So that's effectively going to be the most people. So when Lukas said top of funnel, that's what he's talking about. That's when most of the people are going to see that kind of stuff. Then you get to the middle. That's middle funnel. That is nurturing your audience. And then you have bottom of funnel. Those are like your ride or dies. Those are the people that love everything you put out no matter what and would buy from you. So talk a little bit more about that as to how you've decided to balance that within your brand and how you kind of help explain that to beginners and people who are trying to build their brands.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is to not overcomplicate it too much. Because it is really just as simple as how Noah explained it, that you want different types of content with different goals in mind. And so, like with this analysis strategy I was talking about, it becomes very apparent through the different metrics, like shares for one video, saves, views, you can very clearly kind of outline the different type of content that aligns with the different levels of the funnel, and you can build out your pillars from there.
Dare you say, keep it
Keep it
simple?
simple. Yep, exactly.
So when we talk about like literally what a top of funnel video would look like or a top of funnel style post, think about it from the perspective of that's where you're going to put your brain rot. That's where you're going to put the stuff that's going to where you want to make the fancy hook, where you want to get somebody's attention, where you want to stand out, and where you're not really trying to do anything with a lot of nuance, right? Unfortunately, and this is all within short form content. And this is why I've leaned so heavily into YouTube in these past couple of weeks and months, is because I can talk about whatever the hell I want for as long as the hell I want. So I can provide as much nuance as I wish, and I'm loving that. But with short form, you really can't do that. That's kind of like rule number one. At least when you're starting out, not all of your videos can just be a 3-minute talking head. Like, you're not going to get any engagement on that. That's not going to be a good top of head or top of funnel video or post. A good top of funnel post is going to have a strong hook. It's going to hook people in to get that to watch. And then it's going to provide a little bit of value, and then you're going to get the hell out. And it's going to be visually stimulating, so you're going to be doing something. And that's going to get, that's there to show to new people. So you can think of your top of funnel as almost, let's get new people into the world of my brand. Let's get new people into the world of 𝕀ℕ𝕊𝕋𝕆𝕂 or Lukas or whatever your brand is, right? And then that's what the top funnel is. It's almost like taking new people that are outside and bringing them into the house. Like, hey, this is what this is about. This is what this brand is. And then middle of funnel would be to nurture them. That's for you to show them, hey, I understand you. Hey, like I do have your best interest in mind because I've gone through what you're going through. And if they liked your earlier content and they want to see a little bit more, this is where a little bit more nuance comes in. This is where maybe a carousel or a written post or an email newsletter or a Substack post or a YouTube video would come in. Because then you have like, oh, okay, this guy's really making sense, or this girl's really making sense. Like, that's where you nurture them, give them some free stuff, really give them the sauce, the free game, if you will. And then the bottom of funnel, those are your ride or dies. That's your base. That's your ground. And those are the people that will become customers. Those are the people that will sit there and watch you talk about an unedited video for 5 minutes on Instagram with no cuts and with ums and ahs and bad lighting. Like, they don't give a shit. They are there for you. They aren't there for the business. They're not there for anything else. They're not there for the bells and whistles. They are there for you. And developing that trust, I think, is the biggest thing that people suck at when they're starting out. Because it is a skill. It is something it's a muscle you have to harden, right? So when you're working with other people, what would you say on that is kind of how business has changed over the past couple months? Because I've seen a pretty massive trend in it used to just be get as many eyeballs as you can, get them to follow you, and then get them to buy your stuff. But now it's become a little bit more complex where it doesn't matter how many followers you have. It matters how many people you get to that bottom of funnel. How many ride or dies in your community do you have to where no matter what you're putting out, they are watching it, they are subscribing, they are liking, they are commenting, they are talking about it, and they are sharing it. And it is hard to get people like that, but the only way to do that is being authentic. But I want to hear your take on that.
Yeah, totally. Well, the first thing I think is there is this depth to the funnel. If you're just starting out, you should have a majority of your content as top of funnel stuff, with the bottom and middle stuff kind of sprinkled throughout, because
Agreed.
You're trying to grow more, so you want to get more people in.
And you don't even know what the top of funnel is at the beginning anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you're in discovery mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
100%. I guess I will say some tricks I've noticed as I've been putting my content together with my top of funnel stuff. Like you said, the complete absence of nuance in top of funnel is 100% a need. My best videos are videos where, well, first of all my videos now are less than 30 seconds. That's a rule I set that was one of my 2-week analysis things that I discovered, is that when I put that limit on myself, it kind of leaves these gaps where, one, someone will argue with me because of the lack of nuance in my video, and they'll argue in the comments, or someone will fill in the gaps that I left in the comments, kind of starting that discussion. So shorter is definitely better for top of funnel, and yeah, the absence of nuance. I think it's also good to talk about like current cultural events. Like when the NFL season was starting, I talked about the design of the score bugs, and people were
Yes.
arguing in the that was my best
Fire.
ever video. I think it has like 1 million views on TikTok and Instagram combined. Yeah, just like starting conversations and stuff, being super short, and that, like I said, the top funnel should be your focus starting out.
I completely agree, and I think that's something that I definitely suck at. It's something I've always sucked at. I went really hard on skits a couple years ago, and they were really short, and those usually got a lot of views. But then I started attracting a lot of people in my audience that didn't really care about anything that I had to say. They were just there for the free stuff. But when you're starting out, it doesn't matter. You're there to grow. You're there to test what's working. What do you like and what do they like? And I think a big part of this is people get so focused on what are other people going to like. That's question number 2. First, figure out question number 1. What do you like to post? Right? Because we live in a really tremendous time in human history to where we can make just about any topic a business, just about any desire or interest into some sort of community business asset of some kind, right? And it's not in like a capitalistic, greedy way, but it's like you can provide some serious help to people, and that's where I think people don't see that. It's like it doesn't always have to be transactionally, financially. Like you can still provide a ton of value with a personal brand, even if they're not buying from you, right? And so step 1, figure out what the hell you like to post. And then step 2, figure out what they want to see and how they want to see it. And then step 3, I think that's when you really start to iterate like the rules, like, okay, people like shorter content, people like this, people like that. And it will be a little bit different for everyone. You are going to have your own strengths and your own weaknesses. Like I remember, dude, I have another account on TikTok that a lot of people are watching this from. It's called Building the Big Fella. You and I have talked about it before. It's not my main account, but it's more of like my personal life. I spit a lot of like, life wisdom on there and talk a lot about like philosophy and stuff. And shout out to all the homies on that account, by the way. That account originally started as a vlog. Like I wanted that to be a vlog documenting me building a brand. And then 6 days in, I'm like, I hate making vlogs. Like, I suck at it. I don't like it. I don't want to do it. And it's just an annoyance to me. And so I'm like, we're going to stop doing that. Like, so you can't really sacrifice. The enjoyment factor is what's going to make you consistent. And the consistency, just like anything else, is absolutely step 0. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. If you're not consistently posting at least, I'd say, no less than 3 to 4 times a week, it's going to be really hard to get any sort of data and any sort of growth.
Honestly, if you're starting out, like, you should be posting once a day. I think
it's the easiest
you can just
way to
post
say
a
it. Just
15-second video once a day. It's not.
Yep.
You shouldn't be worrying about the quality anyway. You should be focusing on just getting something out. And doing once a day is not insanely hard.
It's really not. It's really not, especially with how easy and how much, how many tools we have access to within, free design tools and editing tools and everything else, man. So yeah, that's kind of, I'd say, do you think that we're missing anything as far as like starting out for, I feel like I'm going to name this one. I'm coming up with names actively on the episodes while we talk. I still kind of have to name the others that are backlogged right now. But I'm thinking about like, introduction to like personal branding or something along those lines, like how to build a personal brand. What would you say, as kind of a general closing statement or a final like topic of discussion, as what do you think we haven't touched on that you think is important for us to talk about?
I feel good with what we have. I just want to iterate that. Stop thinking about it and just do it. Just commit to posting once a day for 30 days and go from there. Like, go record your first video right now. Now that this episode is over, stop thinking about it and do it.
Completely agree. It's changed my life. It's changing Lucas's life, and you never know what's going to happen and what's going to come from it. And I'd say one other thing that maybe we didn't touch on, but just real quick, your network, like people you meet, like talk to people, be a human, talk to them, start discussions. Like Lucas mentioned it in the comments with the score bug video. We was talking about the NFL score bugs. It started discussions in the comments. People were arguing and discussing things in the comments. If you are putting stuff on your stories, talk about stuff that other people are going to want to talk about. share your opinions on world events and things going on that people are going to talk about. I made a video about buying a car. It's not really a current event or anything, but it was a complete random thing. And that video did super well, and I got like a ton of comments and people talking about it to me in my DMs about it. And I was like,
Nice.
that's not what my content is about at all. But it gave people something to talk about because of the way I spoke about it in my video. I talked about some of the steps I took to buy it and what I considered when I did it, and people found that helpful, but also they gave their 2 cents on it because people think that they're the smartest people on the planet, which that's another rule. You have to be open to criticism. Again, it is your brand, but you're putting your art out there. It's going to get criticized. So don't have an ego attachment to it. Recognize that it is a constantly evolving and changing baby. Like, this thing is not always going to stay the same. Be open to criticism, especially from people who are where you want to be. If it's somebody from Uncle Jimbo who doesn't even know how to navigate Facebook, maybe you don't listen to him very much. But if it's somebody who has been in the game for a while that is actively trying to help you, hate never comes from below.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. There will always be on the internet for the rest of the time people who are just saying mean things for the sake of saying mean things. Obviously, ignore them. But yeah, like Noah said.
What's the worst troll comment you get? Or DM?
Ooh, I got called a twink on one of my videos.
Nice. Solid.
I think on the scorebug one, someone told me, oh no, it was a different NFL one. Someone told me, you chose to have that hair, so your opinion doesn't matter. Which, I mean, my hair is not in a great state right now. But
hey, we're both rocking the caps. Hey, neither is mine. I shaved all of it off, so.
I know, dude, I like it. It looks good.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Mine right now is a buzz that's been growing out for about 6 months without being touched. So it's kind of just a big ball.
Are you just growing out the flow?
I don't know. I just am avoiding thinking about it.
That's where I'm at, bro. It's just like, I don't understand. Like, I mean, I do understand
a hassle, man. I can't.
That's where I'm at. That's why I shaved it. I didn't want to think about it anymore. I'm just gonna shave it all off. Ashley fucking hates it, but she'll live. It grows back. It's hair. Tough shit. Like the best part about hair is that it grows back. So,
100%.
No, I completely feel you with that. I could never be one of those influencers that like has to make their appearance constantly perfect all the time, like fit checks and I don't give a shit, dude. I could wear the same thing every day and be completely chill with it.
Big fella merch every day, head to toe.
Honestly, basically, dude, that's kind of what I did. Like, why go buy new clothing when I could just make some and then make it worth it that way?
Walking billboard, let's do it.
You know what? Maybe I am the capitalism final boss. That's crazy. No, not really. But Lukas, thanks for hopping on. Tell people where they can find you, brother.
At Lukas Mullen on Instagram, LUKASMULLEN.
Damn, you got that down. Said that quick. I'll throw his links in the description so you guys can go check him out. If you are interested in starting a brand or starting a business, I really sincerely just go check him out. He's got really interesting, creative takes and really cool design insight on some very popular things, and it makes you think and it makes you spin your wheels a little bit. And if you're someone who is trying to start a brand or a product or a service, I seriously couldn't recommend it enough, because design is a part of it. Design and branding is a part of it, and it gives you a better definition of what branding really means, and I think he describes it in a really cool way. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys have a fantastic Halloween. I mean, you'll be watching this well after Halloween, but it's October 30th as we record this. So hope you guys all have a great day. Subscribe, hit the bell notifications, all that jazz. Check all the stuff in the description to go check him out and check out some other free goodies. Peace and love. I love you to death. Keep it simple.